Hey class, I wanted to go over Snapseed in case you needed a refresher or if you weren't in class the other day. So we're going to use Snapseed. It's a photo editing app. We're going to use it on our final project, and that involves editing some photos and doing some double exposures, which double exposures are when you merge two or more photos together. And I have all that info on like the project and those requirements. I have all that on Schoology, so you can look through that slideshow. This video is just to go through Snapseed, the photo editing app, and show you a little bit of the tools in case you weren't in class or if you need a refresher, like I said. Actually, I'm going to refresh this page, get rid of all my stuff. And when you open it up, it will have a big old plus sign, and you just tap that to add a photo. So you can find your photo in the camera roll or wherever you have it stored. And let's see, I'm just gonna pick one real quick, do this. And so it first pops up with all these different filters you can apply. I don't like to add filters to my pictures. A lot of times it's just too much. It just looks too edited. So I like to go in and do it myself. So if you hit tools, you'll get a lot of options, which I think is cool for this photo editing app because it's pretty advanced, just for, a phone or iPad app. If you go to the top left corner to tune image, this is where I like to start. You've got all these different options to edit. So like brightness for instance, if you move this sliding scale to the right, it's going to be brighter. If you move it to the left, it's going to be darker. So you can adjust the brightness of your photo if you need to. Contrast, that is how strong of a difference there is between the lights and darks in the image. So you can make this strong contrast or less so. Saturation, that is how strong the colors are. So you can always give it a little pop of color if you want to, but I never go over into this region right here. It just looks way too edited, too strong of colors. If you go to the left though, you can make it a black and white picture if you like black and white photography. Okay. Highlights, so if you have something that's overexposed in your photo that's too bright, you can tone down the highlights. Notice how I get a little bit more information out of the sky when I tone down the highlights. And then with shadow, you can, like, if you lost some detail in the dark shadow part of your photo, you can lift up and get some detail out of that if you want. You can make it darker. And then warmth, that is just adding a little bit of yellow or blue to your picture. Yellow will give it kind of like a sunshine feel. Don't go so far that you can see the yellow, but just a little bit of warmth to your picture, or cool tones if you want to go the other direction. And then to save it, you just hit the check in the right corner, and it goes back to this main screen. We can hit tools again. I'm just going to go over a few of them. A lot of them are, they're really user-friendly, so you can figure out, and it's pretty self-explanatory. Details, that is how sharp your picture is, so you can move it to the right and make it more sharp. I'd be careful of moving it too far to the right, especially with like portraits. It looks just too hyper-realistic, not great. Or you can go to the left and make it like a soft, kind of like foggy effect. Okay. Let's see, curves. So this is called a histogram. When you'll see this in like Photoshop and pretty advanced photo editing software. Up here where my blue dot is like the highlights of your picture. So you can move up if you want the highlights to be bright, or down if you want them to be darker. This middle range right here is the midtone, so you can lift up for more detail out of the midtones or make them darker. And then the bottom corner here is the shadows. You can make brighter or darker, and you can put a few different dots and kind of adjust this curve how you want it to be. Okay, white balance. So the temperature is pretty much the same exact thing as that warmth I was just showing you. You can add a little bit of yellow to it or cool, but there's also tint, which you can add a little bit of purple to it, which I think kind of complements that warm glow, or green, which complements the cool tones. So you can add just a little pop of that. Again, don't go too far where you can visibly see green or purple. Okay. Crop if you want to make your picture smaller. Oops. Like that. If I wanted to crop out some of the sky, I could do that. You would just hit the check mark to crop it officially. Okay. Rotate. That's just if you want to rotate your picture upside down or sideways, but you can also flip it like a mirror. Let's see. Healing is pretty cool. If you zoom in, this works really well. You can just like tap where you want to edit, so you can like get rid of acne or zits really well, or just little details that you don't want in there. Now that's just for little details. Like I said, I couldn't go and like try and get rid of his whole arm here. It's gonna look crazy. But if you zoom in and you just do little details you want to get rid of, that works really well. Let's see, HDR, that's again that kind of really hyper realistic look. It doesn't look great with portraits, just too much detail in it. But you could, if you like landscape or nature photography, you could try that out and get lots of details out of like trees and other things like that. Okay, just a few more I wanted to go over. The rest of them are kind of like filters, like a drama filter or vintage filter. There's black and white, and you can adjust the different components of black and white if you like. There is lens blur, which is when you see a picture that has something in focus up close, but then the background is blurred, so you can kind of try and replicate that effect. So this middle inner circle is what's going to be in focus, and then the outer circles are going to be what's starting to blur, and you can adjust how strong of a blur you want at this top scale right here, and just tap the picture to see the effect. Okay. And lastly, what we're going to do for this project is double exposure, which is the option right there. And you just hit open image, and you find a picture that you want to add on top of this picture you already have opened. I'm going to do this one right here. So you can like move it around a bit. You can make it bigger, you can make it smaller. I'm going to make it a little bit larger, like that. And then style, that's just like some filters specifically for double exposure. I'm not really a fan of any of those, so I could go to default. And then transparency is how much your photo is showing up. So if you notice right here is the original picture, and then the more I slide it to the right, the stronger that second picture comes through. So I'm going to do about halfway like that, and then hit the check mark. And there I have a double exposure. So to export this, to save it to your camera roll, you just hit export in the bottom right corner. I always do save as a copy so it doesn't alter my original picture. You don't want to ruin your original picture because then you could never go back to it. So I always do save as a copy, and it will save to your camera roll. And if you want to open a new picture, start a new one, you'll just hit open in the top left corner. And that's all I have for you. If you have any questions, feel free to message me. Bye.